Welcome to Hunting the Rut Hotline. It is Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Hey, get on the phone, call your friends, email them, tell them it's time to ask questions, and we'll participate together all over the country tonight. Folks, as you can kind of see old Steve here, he's not here tonight, so we thought we'd put him here in spirit and brag on him a little bit. That old buck that you're seeing there in the chair, Steve killed that buck this past November in Illinois, and that old boy's good with a bow. But old Steve can't be with us tonight. He's out of town, and so we're going to take the ship by ourselves tonight. Folks, it is Thursday night. You got questions. We're going to have some answers, and we've had a lot of people call in and asking about this tick situation all over the country. It's getting worse, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a second.
From Don Bell, the founder of Code Blue, comes top preserved doe estrus, the finest doe estrus ever collected. Top secret oxygen-free collection process is a complete generation above Code Blue. Our patent-pending collection process means no ammonia and no ammonia smell. At a limited quantity of 12,000 bottles, only 0.1% of hunters will be lucky enough to add Top Secret to their arsenal. Visit TopSecretDeerScent.com today and join the 0.1% club.
Alrighty, folks, we're back. Folks, listen, what we want to talk about tonight today is, what's today, guys? The 30th? Already, tomorrow's May 1st. Can you believe that? In about 60 days, about 60 days, we'll start looking at doing food plots here in the Southeast. That's hard to believe, but it's that close already. What we want to do tonight in the opening remarks is, past couple of weeks we've been talking about ticks and the problem with whitetail ticks, and not only for people, and you've heard the callers call in, it is getting to be a real problem. And last week or a couple of weeks ago, Mike Burklow, Steve's brother, who both are pharmacists, and Mike's going to call us in just a second, and we're going to discuss this again in light of some of the stuff that we found out. And folks, this is something you want to take serious, as these old boys, these ticks are bad. It's not just for you as a hunter that's out in the woods, it's for your children, it's for your wife, it's for anybody that's getting outdoors. Guys, I believe Mike's on the phone. All right, let's see if we can get him on the phone and us kind of bring this into some kind of focus for us tonight. Big Mike.
Big Don.
All right, dog. Glad to have you on tonight. I was just telling the folks that, this tick situation is really getting out of hand. And it's not just here in the Southeast. It is literally all over the country. And we've had just a rash of telephone calls and emails, people wanting to know about it. Of course, they're wanting to know about BioShield, how to get it, because this is a product that will help them feel safe, not only for them but for their family. 3-tier system. But what we want to do is to talk about some of the stuff that the people are finding out there. You had a question that you were actually going to Facebook in tonight. Ask that question, and then let's talk about it in perspective, and we'll back it back into some of the stuff we talked about last week and see if it'll help everybody listening in on what to be looking for and how to resolve the problem.
Well, actually, my question back sort of to you and to everybody that's listening is, how do ticks and how do parasites, but especially ticks, how do they affect the morbidity of deer, and even the antler growth, is, even from the aspect of antler growth and just growing up in general?
Well,
as far as humans go, we know that the seriousness of ticks, from Lyme disease, how it can affect us, and it can basically change us as people who like to hunt overnight.
Yes.
Not being able to hunt. And my question was just back to there, is how it affects the deer and their lifespan.
Well, let's take a couple things. One is almost everyone listening. There's probably not a hunter in the country out of the 12, 14 million deer hunters that doesn't know somebody personally that has been bitten or affected by a tick. Or know someone or heard of someone that's got Lyme disease. Lyme disease is not something that you get bit today and tomorrow you got Lyme disease. It is something that, it's a process, and once you get it, it is a long process to get rid of it. And of course, you speak better to that, but it is a slow process, and it also kind of kickstarts other diseases. And I've known several people who get it, and for the love of me, I was just trying to think, what is that what is that people get and makes them real weak, all the time feeling weak and no power, no strength to be able to get around, no get up and go? Of course, Lyme disease will do that and make your bones hurt. But there's another name to that. Starts with an M.
Being lethargic, that's one of the symptoms of Lyme disease. Lethargic, the achiness in the joints, flu-like symptoms, and but like you said, it predisposes other
right,
diseases.
Bingo, right, and that's what I have noticed with some of the people that's got Lyme disease. Once they may have been bitten last year with it, and it gradually, they start feeling stuff, and all of a sudden they're diagnosed with Lyme's disease, and it's because it does affect all those areas. Next thing you know, you got something else that it kind of weakens you for something else, and I looked up because Mike asked, well, what kind of quantity or what number is it to deer, deaths to deer to ticks? Well, I dug in it today, and I couldn't find any real concrete stats that, on a national basis, or for that matter, a state basis, that deer, X number of deer or percent of deer a year die as a result of ticks or infection from ticks. What our readers need to understand, our viewers need to understand tonight is that, everybody's killed a deer has just been eat up with ticks. That is not affecting the deer meat. But now, if you find deer, and to your point, Mike, where a deer could have ticks and it weakens them, and then that presupposes something else, the next thing you know, the deer is weakened, which will affect the antler growth in the coming year. Just like if a deer was, deer right now are in the southeast, they obviously they've already dropped antlers, or they're beginning that process of growing antlers back, and grow up an inch a day. The rate of that depends on how much food they've had, the quality of food, and whether or not they were injured last year, how hard the rut was, how mature that buck was, and how hard it was on him, how hard the winter was versus the northeast, the north versus the south. All that brings into the health of a deer. So if you put ticks on top of it, or like you said, these other parasites, then all that affects the herd. To what degree as far as killing them, I couldn't find any real stats on it. Maybe somebody out there that's listening, if you know that, call in and say, hey, in our state, we've got a stat that shows this. But there is a correlation. And what's scary, Mike, is it's growing. What last week we talked about how many different kinds, 4 or 5 new areas that they're associating with the tick. And some of it they don't even have names for, but they know it's kind of evolving, and it's not going away. It's getting everywhere. So, but we'll check on that. Maybe some of the callers might have some ideas with it. You as a pharmacist, are you seeing more and more people coming into the pharmacies looking for something to protect them against that?
Well, absolutely they are, and the more they see the BioShield, especially the more they see the BioShield, they sort of hit me with that phrase, I can't believe nobody's come out with this sooner. Well,
it's
and that's what, as being a pharmacist, that's what I'm sitting back there thinking, me too. I wonder the same thing. How come nobody has come out with something like this sooner?
All great inventions come from just out of basic needs. And of course, guys, everybody listening, Mike hunts, I hunt, Steve hunt, we all hunt. And a tick doesn't show any preference to us any more than anybody else. We walk out there, we're going to get loaded up with them too. And certain parts of the country is worse than others certain times of the year. And believe it or not, one of the things, Mike, I did find out that ticks, you could see the results of ticks worse in August, September in deer than you could in the spring. No doubt they're on them, but because they're constantly coming up, dropping off. A tick's going to get on and just absolutely gorge itself, then it's going to drop off. But oddly enough, it's August, September, and that's kind of a norm throughout the country. But this tick situation is not going away. It's gradually getting worse, and people need to protect their families.
Right.
And you can go to the store and get DEET, but you hear these callers calling in. Not only is it bad for you, it'll actually burn your skin. And if you read the label, it plainly says, do not put it on you. Don't put it on your clothing, don't put it on your skin. Well, where else are you going to put it to protect yourself? And so,
right.
So this is a new deal, last 8 hours. And when you use it as a system, just for everybody listening to realize we're the only ones. We just came out with BioShield. It's all natural, but last 8 hours, it's a spray, meaning that you can spray it on your skin. My goodness, you can spray it on your hands and put it on your face. You can put it in your hair. It's not going to harm you or your child. Now, having said that, we have the body wash and a laundry detergent. No one's ever had that before. That's brand new to the repellent industry. And folks, you remember I've told you that it's going to change things. Those two products, new categories, will change the repellent industry, not just for hunters, for everybody. And in fact, Mike, we're talking to people overseas right now as we're sitting here in other countries about our product, because they have the same needs over there and they want it natural. Everybody's going to something natural, and we got a great new product. So, but I'll try to keep looking for your answer, Mike, on how many deers killed. I just couldn't get an exact. Well, there wasn't any stats on it, period. So I don't know. Maybe I could get up with Carl Miller at the University of Georgia, and I'll ask Carl and see if he has any stats on that. But I'll let you know back on that. But look, man, I appreciate you calling in. And any other comments you think they need to be aware of?
It also works. Yeah. But these mosquitoes aren't bothering me a bit because I've got this BioShield on.
Folks, I don't know if you know. Now, Mike, tell these folks where you calling me from. Camden, Alabama. But tell him where you're sitting. The folk, let me tell you about Mike's breaking up, and the reason he's breaking up, he is calling me sitting on his porch about 50 yards off of that the Alabama River on the backwater in Camden. So he is literally sitting in mosquito and tick heaven right now. And so, we got you back. I hear you laughing. But Mike, look, keep us informed on that. Anything you see or you come across, we'll let everybody know about it.
I sure will.
Man, appreciate it. We'll appreciate you calling in. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right. Thanks, Don.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. All right, folks, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll take a few callers.
Rise and shine. It's time to hunt.
Repel and kill the bugs that bug you most with the all-natural 100% DEET-free BioShield.
You've waited your whole life for this moment. Don't spoil your opportunity because of poor preparation. Keep your optics clean and fog-free for a clear shot every time. Fog Zero.
Alrighty, folks, we're back. Hey, listen, get on the phone, call your friends, let them know, hey, we're live. It's Thursday night, Central Standard Time, every Thursday night. 52 weeks a year, we're right here. You got questions, we're going to have some answers. And folks, sometimes we don't know. And we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know. And so as we do this, we're doing this together as we go through the process. The year in the life of a whitetail. It's fixing to be May 1st tomorrow, and we're talking about what deer are doing all over the country today. And we're fixing to take another caller, and let's see who we got here. All righty, you got Don Bell. Who we got?
Stephen Haley.
Big Stephen. Big boy, aren't you a club member?
I am.
Hey, well, we appreciate it. Stephen, now tell me again where you're from.
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Shreveport, Louisiana. Oh, yeah. Stephen, you're the one that's got the food plot, the small food plot that's with all the land.
That's right.
That's right. We want to make sure we keep Stephen's number. I was telling somebody about that the other day, and they laughed. I said, no, I'm serious, man. This guy called in, Stephen, he called in, and he was asking, what was it, a 3-acre plot, 5-acre field or something?
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a big field. And now tell everybody how many acres you hunt.
We hunt a little over 12,000 acres.
And you were asking me how to put a stand, where to put a stand on a 5-acre field.
Right.
I need to come show you personally where you need to put that on that 12,000 acres. Because I want to tell you something, folks. If you got 12,000 acres in Louisiana, you in some fine territory. So, yeah, I guarantee you. And hey, I guarantee you eat up with ticks over there.
To be honest with you, this year, out of all the does and a few bucks that we did harvest, I didn't have not one deer tick on them.
Really?
And very few on their belly.
Archery or gun? Either.
All the way through.
Really? Well, how are they over there now?
Right now, I turkey hunted last week, and I had one tick get on me, but he got right off of that stuff that we get from y'all, the bio spray.
Right.
As soon as he got on that boot, he smelt it, and he jumped off.
You know, we've got a term called drop-off technology. It's actually trademarked, and that's the reason we trademarked it, drop-off, because literally that's what they do, because it shuts down the neurological system, and literally it kills them. And so
he didn't care too much for it at all.
No, they don't. And what's crazy is you can take a sheet, and a lot of people think, well, there's no ticks out there. You take you a sheet and get on a four-wheeler where you hunt right now and drag it through the field and come back, a white sheet, and you look how many ticks you're going to have on that thing. Because a tick, most people, I don't know if you know, but a tick kind of sits up on the grass, the high part of the grass or a limb, and he sticks his little claws up like that, his hands, and as you come by, whatever comes by, he grabs.
Grabs hold of it.
And off you go. So now then you can treat that, and you watch them rascals get on there and drop off. It is just like you say. It's amazing, and they don't bite you if they drop off.
No.
So pretty neat stuff. Well, look, what kind of question you got tonight?
My question tonight is on a piece of property. It really doesn't matter how big or small, I guess. Where would you want to start putting a mineral site, and how many would you put on? I've heard a lot of different things, one for every 80 acres, one for every 200 acres, and just trying to get a ballpark number, because right now I got 7 on my property.
7 for 12,000 acres?
Right.
Look, you know, we can be scientific with it and all this kind of stuff and percentages and stuff, but you know, if you just come down to just pure common sense on the stuff, you want to hold deer in an area that you want to hunt. Meaning that, for instance, if you were going to put a feeder. Now again, a feeder or well, let's go back to directed to your question. A mineral. You're talking about a mineral lick or mineral supplement, right? Or you
mineral stations. You know.
Right.
Trace block.
Right. I would want to put that in and around and near where you know is a bedding area. And let me tell you why. If you're going to hunt bedding areas, or if you're going to archery hunt or gun hunt, let's say let's take that 5-acre field you were talking about, or guys, everybody listening, let's just take a field that you're sitting on. Obviously, you're wanting them to come to the field. Obviously, the deer want to go to the field, or you wouldn't be sitting on the field. So when you plant that field, you're wanting them to come to it. Now, they just don't boof and they're in the field. They're coming from somewhere to get to the field, right? So what you want to do is hold them from that somewhere that they're coming from. And in your case, you know that those deer, you're holding deer on your property, right?
Yeah.
So no doubt. But somebody that's got 50 acres they're hunting or 200 acres they're hunting, they may be pulling deer off of somebody else's property, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't know what they're doing. In other words, they could be having feeders or they could be having mineral stations all around your property. And that's okay. But what you're doing is holding the deer close. But I try to put that kind of stuff in and near where I want to be hunting because you're already getting them to come there. Right? And they're coming there with no problem. So if I go to Winn-Dixie, do you have Winn-Dixie grocery stores up there where you live?
Yes, sir.
All right. You go to Winn-Dixie every day, same grocery store every day, you don't have a bit of problem. In other words, nobody's jumping you, nobody's trying to kill you, nobody's trying to run over you. You're pretty good. You feel safe going there. So why, when it comes Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, why do you want to go to another store? You're used and you feel safe going to Winn-Dixie. So, and deer or whitetail are very, very habitual. The exception to deer like that is blacktail. Blacktail on the West Coast, them dogs, they don't go and come the same way. You know how we set up on a trail, we can put a camera on a whitetail and we can see that deer. We can almost time when that deer is coming and going. A blacktail won't do that. So you don't have that same advantage. But a mineral station is designed to hold them. Well, it's not actually designed to hold them as much as it is to help them. But obviously, if you're going to Winn-Dixie every day and you know where it is and you feel comfortable going there, that's where they're going.
That's right.
And so a lot of times we overthink it. But, and I put it in a kind of a secluded area. I don't put it out in an opening. I put it in, to where not that far from the bedding area. And why would you do that? Because why do I want to get up and drive to Winn-Dixie, the store that slap across Pensacola? I want to get up and go to my neighborhood, Winn-Dixie. So, and so if that deer can get up out of a bedding area and go a short distance, they feel more comfortable in that. So now, having said that, if you're near a field and you're going to hunt a field, I still wouldn't put it on the field, but I'd back it off. You bow hunt or gun hunt?
I mainly gun hunt. Bow hunt.
Okay. It seemed like we talked about before, if I remember the conversation, that not only where to hang a stand, and if you remember, I believe, if I'm correct, I was telling you that my preference on a field is to put a stand 100 yards or so off of the field. And most people want to put a stand on the field where they can see the field and where they can shoot the field. The problem with that is the first thing comes in the field is what? Does. The second thing comes in the field anywhere in America, guess what it is? Little young bucks. And little rack bucks. So what happens is if you're on the field and they come out there, and the tendency is somebody's going to pop a cap on one of those little rack bucks. Well, the big boy, he's staging darkness to the field, right? So you got to be willing to let him walk. But if you're on the field, it's already too dark to shoot him with a bow. For that matter, with a gun. So what you do is you back off 100 yards or so on that trail and let them does go past you, let them little rack bucks go past you. You'll get a chance to kill him because when he gets to you here, it's still plenty daylight that you can take him.
That's right.
But it's hard to do. It's hard to get people to get off that field because that's where they're trying to get them to.
Right.
But what you want him to do is to come past you to get to the field. There's the difference, especially bow hunting. That's real important, bow hunting. Now, I don't sit up on the field. I don't sit up on the trail. I'll just get off the trail. But man, by all means, and I'd put that right now. Where are you putting your mineral licks?
I put mine. A lot of them are on in between clear cuts and pine thickets.
Yep. See there.
I put them off to the side of it, and then it's normally on my one food plot that I hunt only during the rut, and I only may hunt it 3 times out of the whole season, is that it's probably about 50 yards in between the two, but it's on the way.
Yeah, see,
They
yeah.
hit it all year round.
Yeah, see, what you're doing is you're going between, you got a clear cut and you got a thicket. So, or is it a wall? In other words, you got a transition in the timber to the clear cut,
Right.
and you're inside the timber.
Right.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, they feel comfortable. They're coming out of the clear cut. Chances, is it oak or pine thicket in the timber?
It's a pine thicket going into a white oak bottom, and it comes up on top of a ridge.
Okay.
It goes into another pine.
Yeah, so you're doing what I'm saying to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're giving them a short distance to feel comfortable to go to the nearest Winn-Dixie store, grocery store,
Right.
or the pharmacy in this case. You know, very few people's going to drive. My father used to drive across town to get dairy fresh milk at the Piggly Wiggly because he wanted dairy fresh milk, and he'd drive all the way across town. He didn't drink Borden, you know, so that was Dad. But most people are going to drive a short distance. And listen, deer are lazy by nature, and people laugh at me when I tell them that. It's true. A white-tailed deer by nature is lazy. They don't want to go any further than they have to. They'll go as far as they need to, and they'll go as fast and as high as they need to, but they don't want to. So there's the difference in that. But yeah, let us know. How long are you keeping this stuff? Are you keeping it out year round?
I keep it out year round. I normally have to replace the blocks probably about every 60 days.
You can't hunt over it though.
Yeah.
Can you hunt over it in Louisiana?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd probably be a no-no in Alabama. Not that it ain't being done in Alabama. You understand what I'm telling you? I'm just saying it's probably a big old no-no. Listen, for years in Alabama, we only got to use feeder the past couple of years. But for years, it was the craziest thing in the world. Every store in the country in Alabama would sell corn. And you'd see people going to the woods with corn up on top of the four-wheelers, man. Now, you know what they're doing with the corn, but now it's legal. So, you know, of course, they didn't have any problem doing it before time. But, no, there ain't nothing wrong with what you're doing. You're holding the deer.
I don't hunt over them. I'll hang a camera over it just to see what I have going on.
That's right.
That's it.
And listen.
And I don't hunt over the feeders, and the only time I hunt my
Very
feed
good.
spots is only during the rut when I know they're chasing.
Listen.
Other than that, I'm off in the woods.
If every time you go to the local Winn-Dixie store that's 2 blocks from your house, you're doing fine, and all of a sudden there's fights going on, there's riots going on, or somebody's getting robbed, you're gonna change stores, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Too much activity around that store. Same way with a food plot, same way with a feeder, same way with a mineral. They want to feel safe going in there. And that old buck, you can screw him up and he'll be all right and he'll forget about it and eventually come back. You screw up that big mature doe, and her throat will bleed telling everybody. I mean, a big doe, man, she don't give it up. She'll tell everybody. She'll blow 2 miles coming into that field.
I had one doing to me this year during gun season, and
man, she'll tell the world. It's just like.
She busted me coming in, and it was still dark, and all the way till sunup, she kept on blowing and blowing and blowing, and she came out blowing out of that clear cut, and I said, blow one more time, and I'm going to blow just a little bit harder. And she came out there, stomped her foot blowing, and I popped her.
People don't realize that we brought a bunch of Cajuns in from, obviously from Louisiana. Hello, who am I talking to? That's right, now that I'm saying that. But anyway, we had 10 or 12, and they were coming in, and Derek was young, my son. He was probably, 11, 12, and we set up and we were bow hunting the property like on a Thursday, and they were coming in on Friday. This doe come in, and you know how sometimes you're sitting there and you hear something and you think, was that a squirrel, is that an armadillo, and you kind of gradually look over at it, kind of move your head because you're not sure, and sometimes you just look. I did that look. And when I did, that doe, she broke and she stomped 65 times. That doe blew.
Oh, I believe it.
And when I got down, my son said, Dad, you hear that deer blow? I said, 65 times. Those a bunch of cages. We put some boys in there when this boy come in. I said, you see anything? He said, no, and I'm going to tell you what he said. Of course, you know, a female dog is a bitch. He said that bitch come in, I had a doe come in, and she blew coming in and blew went going out. And I said, well, I know which doe you talking about. And I told him why she's blowing. She was educated. So, but look, to get back to your question, yeah, do that. You're doing something fine. You're doing it right. You know, the problem is if you put a bunch of Winn-Dixie stores out there, all you're doing is putting a bunch of Winn-Dixie stores out there because, you know, the neighborhood store, they're going to go to the neighborhood store. I mean, I was at a guy's house yesterday. And folks, everybody listening to me, if you need a man to sight a rifle in for you, I got him. He's right here in Florida. He doesn't advertise, and he'll have my head for telling this tonight. But in his yard yesterday afternoon, end of April, he got on a buggy and went around his house with 2 dogs in the cart with him, me standing in his driveway, and I bet you 50 deer came out. And they were coming out by my truck, 20 steps of my truck, looking at me, walking right on out there to feed. Why? Because his Winn-Dixie store is every afternoon when that buggy cranks up. They started coming when the buggy cranked up. They knew what he was doing. They were opening the Winn-Dixie store. So that's what I'm saying, that they don't want to go any further than they have to. So you're doing it right.
I appreciate it.
Hey, man, we appreciate it. Tell everybody about the product, and we appreciate you being a club member, man. And look, tell everybody about BioDefend, and tell them to call in and talk to the show.
Absolutely.
All right?
Thank y'all.
All right, man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. BioShield. I seen what you was doing. It's BioShield, not BioDefend, folks. All right, listen. Get rid of him. We're live. All right, they're telling me we better go to a commercial. We'll be right back.
From Don Bell, the founder of Code Blue, comes Top Secret Reserve Doe Estrus, the finest doe estrus ever collected. Top Secret oxygen-free collection process is a complete generation above Code Blue. Our patent-pending collection process means no ammonia and no ammonia smell. At a limited quantity of 12,000 bottles, only 1/10% of hunters will be lucky enough to add Top Secret to their arsenal. Visit TopSecretDeerScent.com today and join the 1/10% club.
Alrighty, folks, listen, as you just see up in the top of the screen right there in the commercial, it is open enrollment. We are proud to have Top Secret's 1/10% Club as a sponsor of Hunting the Rut Hotline, and it is open enrollment. And we'll tell you what that means. It's not a complicated thing. We have at Top Secret 12,000 bottles of what we call reserve. It is 26 ounces. It is absolutely the finest deer scent that's ever been collected. Now, that's not just coming from somebody saying that. I've been in this industry a long time, bottled millions and millions of bottles of lure, bottled tinks, started Code Blue. This is single urine, no oxygen. It is absolutely, can't say it doesn't work. We literally pulled these bucks off of these does. It's 26 ounces, and folks, it's a flat $100 bill. Comes to $2 and something an ounce. And when you get that bottle, it is one of 12,000. There are no more. The reason we call it the 1/10% Club, think about it. 12,000 bottles, 12 million hunters. That means there's going to be a whole lot of folks not get one of these bottles. This has never seen oxygen. It's coming from a 3-4-year-old mature doe that has never seen oxygen. So it is absolutely the finest. You can go to the website right below me, as you see there. You can hit that 1/10% Club button. It'll take you to the website. You can join tonight. You can do it 2 easy ways. You can hit it and pay for it tonight and say, hey, Don, Top Secret, we want you to send it to me in October, November, December this year. And you can pay for it tonight. Or what most people do right now, and there's no reason not to do it, you can hit the ForPay. It'll pay for it over 4 months. You still pick a date tonight or the day you hit the website and say, hey, I want it in September, October. Pick the month and the date. That's when you'll get it. It's like buying season tickets at the University of Alabama or pick your university. Just like the gentleman just called in, Travis, that is like coming in from University of LSU. Once you get a season ticket, no one can take that bottle away from you unless you give it up next year. So it's your bottle year after year after year. No one can take it away from you. So it's going to wind up being the most exclusive hunting club in North America. It's called the 1/10 of 1% Club. You can sign up tonight. Open enrollment. Alrighty, folks, let's see here. We're going to try to take a couple of quick Facebook questions. It seems like we're always behind. It's because we got a lot of them, and we do try to we try our best to catch up with them. So let me get a few. We got Kim Brandt from St. Joseph, Missouri. I hunt in a narrow funnel of timber with a creek splitting it down the center. He's talking about more like a property boundary. What can I do to entice more and larger deer to my side of the property line? Missouri, the only way you're going to be able to entice them, and I don't know how wide that narrow funnel is in your property. So if you're sandwiched and you got a long narrow, then that means for the most part, probably the deer is going from one place to the other. I don't know about Missouri, but in Alabama, we can't cross on another person's property to find out if they got a feeder over there or a feeder over here. But if you can get any kind of aerial view, Kim, and look at it to kind of see the topography, and then try to, of course, you probably, if you're already hunting the property, you can kind of know historically where the deer are moving across it. That's where I would set up a feeder if you can do it. Same way with a caller just called in a few minutes ago out of Louisiana. If you don't have a mineral area set up, you can do that. But if it's narrow and long, you're not going to hold them there as much as you are going to get them on a transit from one place to the other. That's going to depend on the time of year and where you're high thick and if they're coming from bedding to feeding. So get you an aerial view and see if that'll help you out. If not, give us a call back. Let me know, Kim, how big that funnel timber is. I'm assuming that it's narrow. And then if it is, what I'm saying will apply. If it's not, it may have a variance on it. Give us a buzz back and we'll be glad to talk to you about it. Let's see here. We got Ellen Fringe from Bismarck, North Dakota. I want you to notice, and I keep saying this every night, and it is really, it's amazing to us, and we do appreciate it. Notice where all these people are calling in from and where they email from and where they Facebook. Missouri, Louisiana, North Dakota. Ellen wants to know why does it seem that deer are very wary on the ground blinds unless they've been sitting there for months? It would be like you coming home into your house and you you flip the light on and a piece of furniture is out of place, or somebody in the family brought a chair home and set it down out there, and you walk in your house. You immediately realize that that's a different chair. Or worse yet, you come in and the lights are out and you know where the furniture is and you walk in and trip over that chair. Deer know their home. They know the terrain. Think about it. Guys, we're only out there during season. These animals live there 365 days a year. Now, a whitetail's not as bad as a turkey about that, but you want to get it out there and get them acclimated to it to realize, hey, that chair sitting there is not going to harm me. And you learn to go around the chair. And so that's the reason you want to do it. It gives them time to acclimate that that's not a danger. Color doesn't matter to a certain extent. That's the reason why tractors and stuff doesn't bother them. But give them a few months, or actually sometimes just a few weeks. Depends on the time of year you do it. But they do need to get acclimated to it. We got time for a few more? We got time for one more. Jackson Anderson from DeKalb, Illinois. What time of the year do you suggest using a fawn distress call to bring in a doe? Do bucks answer the call as well? There's a great example of this. Jackson, you want to use a fawn distress call early bow season. Now, let me tell you what that means. Now, I'm bad on analogies. Here it goes. A fawn distress call, when you hit a fawn distress call, it'd be like you let a child in a mall, a young child in the mall, go to crying and screaming mama. Every woman in that mall is going to stop and look and try to get to that child. A fawn distress is the same way. When you hit a fawn distress call, every doe in that area, ears perk up. and especially if it's in an area where a doe has a fawn. So it's a distress. It's just that. It's a baby in distress. So mama wants to go to it. Now, let's answer the buck question. Let's see who is. That's Jackson. Jackson, I don't know how old you are, but let's just assume you're married. And let's just assume that you travel. And let's just assume you just come back in off a trip. So you're spending a little quality time with mama. You understand what I'm saying? And down the hall, you got a young baby, and it's in the crib. And that baby starts crying. And that baby's just crying and everything. I don't care what you telling mama. Mama's going to get up and go to that baby. And I can hear you saying it now. Now look, let that baby cry, it'll clear its lungs. It's good for that child to cry a little bit. No, mama's going to get up and go to that baby. And it's the same thing with a doe. No matter what that buck cares, watch this. The doe's going to leave. The advantage of it is, what's the buck going to do? The buck could give a rat's butt about that fawn. That buck's going to follow that doe. So the distress call gets mama to come, which gives you a better chance to have the buck follow the doe. So that's the advantage of that. Hope that makes sense. Oh, wait a minute. They say I can get one more in here real quick. Susie Jessup from Cleveland, Ohio. Just notice the states. Please tell me the proper way to create a mock scrape. Susie, it's not hard. You make a mock scrape anytime. I like making mock scrapes in pre-rut, and where I put it is pretty straightforward. Typically you're going to find scrapes in the same area that you found scrapes last year. I'll give you an example. Year after year, you see scrapes in an area. All right, so chances are high you're going to find scrapes there now. So let's say it's pre-rut, early season, and you're going along there, and there's no scrapes there. And you're thinking, I see rub lines, but I don't see any scrapes. And you're going along the field, and you typically see scrapes there. All you got to do is take you some buck urine. Very important, Susie, get you some buck urine. Get you a limb, not your foot. I'm assuming you're killing your human odor. If you don't, you should. Get you a limb, rake it out underneath a tree. Just rake it out. Now, a mock scrape in pre-rut, it's called a secondary scrape, a frustration scrape. It hasn't got to be that big. It almost looks like where a turkey scratches. Pour you some buck urine in it, get up and grunt. And so that's telling other bucks that a buck's there. Now, during the peak of the rut, or actually just before the peak of the rut in a primary scrape, what you want to do is open it up. That's always underneath the overhanging limb. You want to load that scrape up with buck urine. And so you got a primary scrape. You can come over here next to it. And, I say next to it, it could be 10, 15, 20 yards from it. And now, if you got a choice in doing that, you want to put that scrape closer to where you're hunting, especially if you're bow hunting. Let that be strategic to where you're hunting, to where you can get to it, because not all scrapes are near where your tree is. So now you got an advantage to put it there. They don't know that you made it. What they're doing is seeing smelling it, and they're doing a visual to see. And what makes it a difference is in relation to the other scrape. That's what jacks them up. So try that this year, Susie. Call us, give us a buzz. We'll be glad to be able to talk to you about it. I believe we got us a caller coming up. Let's see who we got here. All righty, you got Don Bell. Who we got?
You got Travis Kilroy.
All right, big Travis. Travis, remind me again where you're from.
I am from Wakefield, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. We got them from all over the country tonight. Well, Big Travis, what's your question tonight?
My question is, where's the best place to put a tree stand during the rut?
Travis, you're up in New Hampshire. How big a piece of property are you hunting?
We've got 12 acres on our land, but we also have miles and miles of woods behind us, but it's all wooded.
Hardwood?
Yes.
All right. Your 12 acres, has it got fields on it?
No fields.
Okay. During the rut, let me qualify your question, and we always, obviously hunting the Rut Hotline, we always try to qualify that. You always want to keep in mind, Travis, that the rut is, when season open, a buck is in rut anywhere in North America. anywhere in North America, a white-tailed buck is in rut once he sheds velvet. That shocks people. He's in rut all the way to the time he drops his antlers. Most people think when they say the word rut, and I think that's the way you're using it tonight, is your question, is most people when you say the word rut, they're talking about when a buck's chasing a doe. Is that what your question is tonight? And when you're like, where to hang a stand when a buck's chasing a doe?
Yes.
Yes. Watch this. Now watch the difference in that. One, I knew that that's what you were asking, but I want to qualify, watch the difference. The rut, in New Hampshire, when archery season opens, are bucks in or out of velvet?
I think they're out of it.
They're out. Guess what? He's in rut. That's amazing, isn't it? Now watch this. The last legal day you can hunt in New Hampshire, do they still have horns or antlers?
Yes.
You bet. Guess what? He's in rut. So when is the rut in New Hampshire?
All season?
The entire season. So if I didn't qualify the question, I would think, now wait a minute, where am I going to hang a stand for the entire hunting season? Because all hunters know you don't necessarily hunt the same stand all season. So now let's answer your question, which is where to hang a stand. Are you bow hunting or gun?
Both.
Okay, both. And you're talking about the second week in November. Yep. Did you hear I like to hunt. Well, first of all, you want to hunt where you're getting your activity. You there. Once they start, you got the rut. The word estrus means a buck will stand, a doe will stand versus running. When you see a buck chasing a doe, everybody says, well, that doe's an estrus. But in reality, Travis, she's not. And the reason, have you ever seen a buck chase a doe?
No, I haven't.
Have you seen it on TV or video?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're sitting here and you're watching that deer. Right now, if you and you're sitting there at your house and you look outside and this buck runs a doe across the road and you say, hey, Don, a buck runs the doe and you say, hey, Don, look at that doe. That doe's in what? 10 out of 10 people is going to tell you she's an estrus. But she's not. The reason, if she was an estrus, she would stand. The word estrus literally means an animal will stand and not run. The reason she's running is because she's coming into estrus she don't want to be fooled with. So the reason she's running. The peak is when they're standing. So to your point, where to hang your stand during the rut, which is the peak of the rut, we're going to put a little nuance on it, because dead center of the peak, which is those 2 weeks up there in New Hampshire, 10, 14 days up there, historically in the Midwest and Northeast is the peak of the rut, right? Very pronounced. Down south, it's more like a sliding board. It's more elongated. It's not as pronounced as you have it up there. But in dead peak, in those 2 weeks, I'm going to get where I can see. Meaning that, with a rifle, can you rifle hunt or just shotgun?
I can do both shotgun and rifle.
Okay. With a gun, I'd want to get where I can see. Because during the dead peak, you got does standing and you got bucks moving, right? So you want to be able to get to where you can see them moving. Just before the peak, they're still working they're still working primary scrapes during the peak, they're really working them up to the peak. I'm talking about bucks. So I'd want to get in and around. Have you ever hunted scrapes?
Yes.
Have you ever hunted any primary scrapes, underneath the overhanging limb?
Yes, I have.
Yep, perfect. Have you been able to take any bucks off of scrapes?
No, I actually didn't get any last year.
Well, that's okay. Look, even if you taken, can you see? Are you just talking on the phone, or can you see too?
I'm just talking on the phone.
Okay, when you go back and look at the show, I'm pointing at a buck here. Steve's not with us tonight. He's out of town, so I got a picture of a buck he killed in Illinois. That buck right there, that buck during pre-rut, just before the peak of the rut, he's making that primary scrape. Even if you killed that buck off of that scrape, another buck's going. So year after year, don't, if you're hunting deer in an area, keep hunting it. It's like real estate, location, location, location. But in your case where you said you didn't kill one this year, man, that's not a bad thing. What does that tell you? You know the scrapes are there, so that tells you high chances that buck's still there. So you got a chance to sit back up on him and kill him again. Hunt the same areas, but get you some buck urine and grunt. Do you use any kind of scent?
Yeah, I use estrus and I use buck urine.
Estrus and buck. Let's see. By any chance, have you used Top Secret yet?
Not yet.
All right, boy, shame on you, dog. That's bad. That's bad. Look, this year, get you, and let me tell you why. It's not complicated, seriously. Top Secret, we've been doing this a long time. Top Secret is single, no oxygen. Phenomenal difference. Watch this. Let me ask you a question. You use deer scent. Don't tell me which ones. It doesn't matter. But if you were to go to your favorite store tomorrow morning, and you walked into the store and you picked any bottle of deer scent and opened it up, what color is it?
It's brown.
It's brown. It's brown. Now why is it brown? Oxygen ammoniates urine. What dark urine says, it says a deer was there. He's not there now. Clear yellow oxygen-free urine, which is Top Secret, says a deer's there now. And I'm going to give you the quick illustration of this tomorrow morning. I don't know if I've told you to do this, but if I have and you hadn't done it, you need to do it. Tomorrow morning, everybody listening to me, take this test. Travis, tomorrow morning, get you a clear jar before you go to work and urinate in it. Sit it down outside on the sidewalk. Go to work. It should be a clear yellow. All urine voided is sterile, right? So it should be a clear yellow. You watch the urine, your urine in that jar in the course of the day, it's going to start changing color and smell, right? The only variable to it is oxygen. So just like your urine, you were there this morning at 6 o'clock, but at 5 o'clock this evening or 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, that urine is going to be darker and it's going to be ammoniated. So it tells another deer, yep, Travis was there, but he's not there now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you go get up in that tree in New Hampshire and freeze your butt off with a bow to try to shoot me, you want me to know you're there when you're there, right?
Right.
There you are. That's the reason why Top Secret's tearing the industry up. It's oxygen free, and you've got a way to, it's never seen oxygen until you open it. Once you open it, we have a scent saver system, and you can pump it back out in between using it. Keeps it fresh. Neat stuff. But you're right, use buck urine and estrus. You're doing that correctly, and you want a grunt. Do you use a grunt call?
Yeah.
All right, 10-4.
A multi-call.
Yep. Well, use your grunt call and use buck urine every day of the year. Every day of the year. In fact, tomorrow morning, and everybody listening to me, no matter where you are, all these people that's calling and listening, and tomorrow morning, get you buck urine and pour it out. Any buck will come to it tomorrow morning, and it's in May, fixing to be May tomorrow. And the reason for it is bucks are in bachelor groups. 95% or greater of the year, a buck is more concerned with other bucks than he is with a doe. Travis, take a wild guess when that buck's concerned with a doe. Peak of the rut.
Okay.
Once in the peak of the rut, she's willing to stand or run and stand, he's all about her then. But outside of that, he spends most of his year, 95% of his year is spent with other bucks. So when you use buck urine, it starts good and it gets better. So try it this year and let us know. And listen, tell all your friends about the show. Each Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, we're following the year in the life of a whitetail and what deer are doing today in New Hampshire, Louisiana, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Arizona, southern India, everywhere that hunters are, we're talking about what deer are doing. So we appreciate you calling in.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Travis, for calling in. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye. All righty, folks. Hey, listen, we're going to take another quick Facebook question or two here. Folks, the way you think about hunting the Rut Hotline is just like Travis. Travis has got a question, and notice there's nuances to the way you answer Travis in New Hampshire versus someone in Louisiana versus somebody in North Dakota versus somebody in South Carolina. If you ask the same question, whitetail have ears, eyes, nose. They have three defenses. Everybody knows the nose most important. But you take those defenses and put them in a different geographical area and pressure and the time of year, they use those defenses in a different way. And it's based off of several factors. So that's what this show's about, is to kind of narrow all that stuff down, though not just do a shotgun approach to it, but narrow it down to where you are, to where Travis can understand the nuances of the gentleman in Louisiana versus somebody in South Carolina. Pretty neat outfit. Let's see here. We got us a Brian Bullock from southern Indiana. What happens to bucks after the peak of the rut? How does this change their travel patterns or movement? After the peak of the rut is called post-rut, and it's a winding down. During the peak, you can imagine they're full strength, they're wide open. They start calming down. The last does that didn't get bred recycle, or it wasn't bred is bred. Post-rut, after the post-rut, these bucks start getting back together in bachelor groups, Brian, and that's what they're doing now. They're in southern Indiana right now in bachelor groups. If you go out to fields and stuff, you're going to see bucks together, especially when they start putting that velvet, antler starts growing, and you see that, hey, this is a buck, you'll start seeing them in bachelor groups. And now this time of year, they're real protective with that. But once they start growing, and once they get out there and they've got good health, they can grow as much as an inch a day. Then they'll start kind of being protective of, they'll kind of play and kind of spar, but they don't want to hit that velvet too much because they can damage the rack, and they know it. So they're kind of protective of it till they start getting ready to come out of velvet. But you can tell that, and their patterns do change, and they start calming down, and they start losing those antlers. They get back in a calm pecking order, and they start in a recovery period, which is what we're in, and getting something to build that body back up after that long winter and through the rut itself. So all that's taking it out of them. Now they're building back up. So let's see, we got one more. Can we get this one? Okay. Andrew Schultz. That's close. Andrew, if I screwed that up, from Wisconsin. What is it? Montello, Wisconsin. All right. See, Steve, you take that one. What do you believe is the number one most sought after food plot in America? Andrew, that is really, you would think that would be just a simple answer. It is really a geographical answer. And right now in America, it varies from region to region, and a lot of reason for that is just cover crops is different. Down here in the southeast, the old go-to thing is wheat rye mixed, but there's so many variables to that. There's so many companies that's come out with some good stuff that just go to your local co-op or your local sporting goods store and say, hey, look, what's a good crop, what's a good food plot cover that I can put that everybody's using that does the most for you there? And that is a great source. Local co-op, a local hardware store, local sporting goods store, any of those places can be able to tell you right there in Wisconsin, especially in Wisconsin there. I'm not sure what county you're in, but anywhere in Wisconsin, you won't have any problem at all doing that. A lot of alfalfa fields up there. A lot of alfalfa fields. Of course, a lot of dairy. But, of course, in the dairy, where there's dairy, there's grain. Where there's grain, there's deer. In among the dairy cows. So, Wisconsin, a lot of people don't realize You go to, if you were to go, everybody listening, if you were to go to the Boone and Crockett record book, Wisconsin has ranked there for years, and there's probably been as many or more Boone and Crockett bucks come out of Buffalo County, Wisconsin, as anywhere in the country. You hear about all the Illinois stuff and the Texas and Iowa, but all those are new phenomenons. Wisconsin's been producing them for generations. Folks, it's amazing how fast the show goes and how fast an hour ago. But look, tell your friends. It's already fixing to be May 1st. My gracious, next week it will be in May. And we, folks, in 30, 60 days in the Southeast, we're getting ready to start looking for food plots again. So get prepared, listen, be prepared. The best time to get ready for next week, next hunting season, starts next Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central Time. Tell your friends we'll see you next Thursday night.